Hi, today I'm going to show you how to further modify your company settings in QuickBooks Online to suit your business. Now if you head up to your business name and select the gear or the cog icon, under the settings menu, click Company Settings. In previous videos, we've added the company name, the address, the email. QuickBooks Online also gives you the provision of adding a website, your phone number and an ABN. I'm going to change the start of our financial year to July, and I'm going to select the option to close the books. I want to close the books as of the 30th of June 2013. I'd like the option of warning requiring a password coming up if I or someone else wanted to change a transaction in the closed period. I'm going to enter a password. You'll want to set the date and require a password for extra security. By turning on a closing date, you would create a new report that otherwise would not appear in QuickBooks Online, and that's the Exceptions to Closing Date report, accessed by selecting Reports. This report would be very useful in detecting changes to closed periods, even if the perpetrator knew the closing date password. For the purpose of this exercise, I won't be selecting the Closing the Books option. I'll change my signing out option to sign out after 3 hours of inactivity. I won't be using account numbers for this business, but there's a preference if that's something that you would prefer. Location and class tracking let you track income and expenses for separate parts of your business. You can use either one of them or both of them together. If I turn on class tracking, I can assign a class to a transaction as a whole or specify a setting that allows me to assign a different class for each detail line of a transaction. I can set QuickBooks Online to prompt me for missing classes on transactions. However, I can't group deposits by class. In location tracking, I can assign a location to an entire transaction. There's no missing prompt location, however, but you can group deposits by location, which is convenient in case different locations of the same company deposit their monies at a different bank location. In the quantity section, QuickBooks Online has integrated inventory tracking and allows me to keep track of quantity on hand and the cost of goods sold when I sell the item. The cost of goods sold calculation follows the FIFO method. In order to see fields for quantity and rate on my sales forms, I'll simply turn them on. Ensure that the following steps are ticked: products and services for sales, products and services for purchases, quantity and unit price rate, and quantity on hand. If I continue scrolling down, I can add some custom fields to my invoices. I'd like to add the salesperson. Turning on custom transaction numbers means that I can modify my invoice and sales receipt numbers. Deposits allows me to record when my clients put down deposits. Then we've got some message fields. I can add a custom message to use on quotes. And a message to my customers on invoices. These messages will come up automatically without you having to select or re-input the data on each invoice or quote. Service dates allows me to select the date that I provided the service. If I deselect that option, I will just be able to view the billing date or the invoice date. Shipping and standard terms. Automatically apply credits. I like to untick that because then I can make sure that I apply credits to a particular invoice and not just to the latest invoice. Form delivery, I select none, as I also like to choose when I'm creating the invoice how I send that out. Please make sure to pay attention to the email message section. If you don't change this part to your company name, when you do send a customer an invoice, it'll come up invoice from your company. So you must change that your company to test 3 or whatever your company name is. You can also modify the message that goes out with your client's invoice. You have the option to copy yourself in on anything sent via QuickBooks Online. I think that's a great idea and a great option to have, as I can track them through my own email client. I'll include a PDF attachment for the invoice, and I'll make sure that my sales forms are included as PDFs. Under the suppliers and purchases section, I have the option to assign my expenses to a particular customer. If I tick the Use Billable Expenses checkbox, every time I enter an expense that is related to a particular customer, I'll see that expense when I go to invoice the customer and I can carry it over. I'm going to select that I mark up 10% on all my expenses when I carry it over to the customer.